come before the court is Lorain County Treasurer versus Gregory Barricklow.
Good afternoon. May it please the court. I'm Chris Pinowski, here on behalf of the appellant, Lorain County Treasurer. The trial court in this matter erred in its application of the foreclosure statutes for delinquent real estate taxes by adding a requirement that each individual permanent parcel number that is part of a premises be foreclosed upon, that the premises that is being foreclosed upon be independently certified delinquent and subject to judgment. The trial court's application of foreclosure statutes added a requirement that is not in the statute, that is not required. Therefore, the trial court's decision must be overturned. In this matter, the treasurer foreclosed on 8 total parcels. 7 of them were part of the same premises. It consists basically of a warehouse that sits across all 7 lots, all 7 parcels. After the foreclosure was initiated, the property owner came in and paid off 6 of those 7 parcels that would be part of the premises, leaving behind the most delinquent parcel, which as of this morning has a total delinquency of $68,000 in excess of $68,000. It was obvious that it was an attempt to disrupt the foreclosure. They subsequently argued that because those parcels were paid off, that they needed to be dismissed, making it impossible for the treasurer to take the remaining parcel or the premises as a whole to sheriff's sale if we were granted judgment and sell it to collect the delinquent taxes that were not being paid. Neither Ohio Revised Code Section 323.25 nor 5721.18, which are the basic statutes that give the treasurer authority to foreclose on the lien for delinquent real estate taxes, require that each permanent parcel number that is part of the premises being foreclosed upon for delinquent real estate taxes be separately delinquent. In fact, neither statute even mentions permanent parcel numbers other than one instance in 5721.18, where they mention permanent parcel numbers being used for the purposes of identification. It does not require that the permanent parcel numbers be independently delinquent. It does reference premises. It does reference parcel. And I discussed that in my brief, what those definitions are and how this particular 7 permanent parcel number warehouse is a premises. It is a parcel within those statutes, and therefore they should have been considered as a whole and what their collective delinquency was, regardless of what each individual permanent parcel number's delinquency was. The foreclosure statutes use the word premises and parcels when discussing the foreclosure of land. Neither statute defines premises. So when we look at the common usage definition, it is a house or building along with its grounds. So this is one building. This is one warehouse that sits across 7 permanent parcel numbers. Parcel is also not defined in the statutes either by its, and so when we apply the common usage definition, it's a tract of land, especially a continuous tract or plot of land in one possession, no part of which is separated from the rest by intervening land in another possession. All 7 of these permanent parcel numbers are owned by the same person. It's being used as one warehouse for storage and boat repair. So it's one owner. They're all adjoining. They're all contiguous. They squarely meet the definition of what a premises is. And premises, again, is the word that's used throughout the foreclosure statutes when it's talking about the land. This court and others have recognized in valuation and zoning appeals that a premises or lot is not limited by permanent parcel numbers, and that permanent parcel numbers' real purpose is to facilitate conveyancing of property. This logic is applicable and consistent with the foreclosure statutes as written, but not consistent with the trial court's application of the statutes to this case. I'm unaware of any case in the state, appellate case yet, that addresses this issue. This seems to be an issue of first impression. We know that for sure in Lorain County. I've discussed it with other prosecutors across the state, and they're unaware of any appellate decisions. So we do think this is the first time it's being brought up. But we do think it's pretty clear when reading the foreclosure statutes that the court should look at the entire premises. And we would ask this court to extend the logic that you've already applied in Nichols, which was a zoning case, but it involved 2 parcels and whether they could be split and what have you. And this court did hold that a premises or lot is not limited by its permanent parcel numbers. So we'd ask you to extend that and say that the same definition of a premises would apply here, because we think it's clear that it should. There's no authority or statutory mandate for the treasurer to do as the trial court has suggested and consolidate the parcels of the premises prior to foreclosure. Requiring a treasurer to do so would be unnecessary, inconsistent with the statutes, and shift a substantial administrative cost onto the treasurer and taxpayers. Furthermore, forcing the auditor to assess the building value to each parcel would still provide the property owner to the opportunity to avoid foreclosure by paying one parcel. In the decision, the trial court suggested that prior to filing a foreclosure, the treasurer consolidate all these parcels. That would require us to possibly pay for new legal descriptions, surveys. Any type of administrative costs would be shifted to the taxpayers and to the county to prepare those parcels, that premises, for foreclosure. And number one, it doesn't say that we have to do that in any statute that I've seen. We think that the foreclosure statutes as they're written say it's a premises. You can foreclose on it as a whole, and so it's unnecessary pursuant to the statute. But also just from the standpoint of forcing that additional cost onto the taxpayers, it seemed that it would be against public policy. And one of the other suggestions was that the auditor take that building value, which right now what they currently do pursuant to the procedures, and I think this is pretty consistent through other counties as well, and is allowed by statute. They take that building value and they assign it to one of the parcels of the premises, because it's nearly impossible to split it up. You know, stand in the hallway and say, well, the parcel was here and the parcel's here. What's the value from the left and what's the value to the right? Would be require a lot more work on the part of the auditor. Would increase the expenses of valuing property. It would require us to review and find and identify every parcel that is part of a premises and go through this consolidation process or this reevaluation process. And even if the auditor did go through and break up that building value, let's say in this case there's 7 parcels, they took and said, okay, 1/7 of what the building value is to each parcel. The property owner would still have the ability to then go ahead and pay one of those parcels and then stand back and say, look, you got to have a delinquency against each one, and you can't look at the premises, so we'd never be able to foreclose and sell the property. If we can't include the entire premises, it's not marketable. We take it to sheriff's sale, somebody's going to come in and say, I'm not getting everything. You know, they paid for the parcel right in the middle of the warehouse. Well, then we're never going to be able to collect those taxes. And the property owners are going to know that, and I would assume that if they know that, they're not going to pay the taxes, because what enforcement would the treasurer have? And I think that's taken into consideration when you read the foreclosure statutes that I've referenced, in that it doesn't talk about permanent parcel numbers. It doesn't say that each one has to be delinquent. What it says in 572118 is that, you know, the court has to make a determination as to the delinquency of each permanent parcel number, and then it can order that all the parcels be sold together. So even if it has a 0 value, they can enter a finding that it is part of the same premises, and all these parcels that make up that premises shall be ordered, sold at the sheriff's sale, and give us the opportunity to actually collect the delinquent taxes, instead of giving the property owner an incentive to not pay the taxes and sit back and say, well, you really can't do anything about it because I pay the taxes on this one parcel that's part of this.
Counsel,
Yes.
just as a bookkeeping matter, when I read the trial court's entry, it did 2 things. It denied the dispositive motion on behalf of the treasurer's office, and then it dismissed without prejudice the complaint. Is that the correct reading of what I'm looking at?
Correct.
Okay.
Sua sponte, they dismissed it.
Okay. But then when I read the brief and the assigned error, is the treasurer arguing that it was wrong for the trial court to deny its dispositive motion?
Yes, we believe that we were entitled to judgment. The reason why the judgment was, or this positive motion was denied, was that the parcels that had been paid, those 6, the trial court said, well, those have to be dismissed because they don't have a current certified delinquent balance. And then they went 1 step further and dismissed the complaint completely, sua sponte, by saying that there was no way we were going to make our case because those parcels couldn't be included, and therefore, and that begs the question of the logic. If the trial court felt like we had to find, there had to be a certified delinquency found for each particular parcel number, well then why not the one that still had the delinquency? They didn't even give us judgment on that, they dismissed everything. So it really calls into question how this would operate if the trial court's decision were to stand.
But I don't see, and perhaps you can point me to it, what I don't see is an argument that the dismissal without prejudice was an error. I see that an argument regarding our dispositive motion, which was a summary judgment motion, should not have been denied. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes, sir. Allowing property owners to frustrate the foreclosure process by paying one parcel of premises would be a significant negative implications and would be against public policy. The statute should be applied as drafted without the trial court's addition of words and requirements. The statutes work the way they are written, and the trial court abuses discretion when it created its own language and requirements in the foreclosure statutes. We don't believe this issue is extremely complicated. It really just comes down to what does the statute say. However, it is important. We have multiple cases that this would apply to, where there's multiple parcels. Sometimes they're as simple as a house that sits on one parcel and then they have a side lot, but it's all one premises. It's all, the garage might go onto the side lot, but it's all one premises. This one's a little bit bigger because it's a warehouse, but the application of this issue is far-reaching. Therefore, this court should hold that the real property tax foreclosures are against the entire premises, and that each separate permanent parcel number is not required to be individually delinquent. This court should overturn the trial court's decision to remand this matter with an order to reinstate the underlying case and enter judgment consistent with this court's holding.
Thank you. All right, thank you for your presentation. We will take the matter under advisement and issue a written decision, which will be mailed to both sides here as well as posted on our website and on the Supreme Court. We will recess